Have you ever gotten to the end of a long week, looked back at everything you did, and just felt kind of empty? If that sounds familiar, you are definitely not alone. Okay, let's get into this feeling, this really common thing about modern work, and see if we can figure out where it's coming from.
You know, when we talk about work these days, a certain set of words always seems to pop up, and it usually starts with this one: burnout.
Which, of course, is followed by just pure exhaustion. That feeling of being totally and completely drained, not just physically, but, mentally too.
And it all seems to lead to this, right? This nagging sense that what you spend all day doing doesn't really matter.
All of that brings so many of us to this one very simple question. A question that really cuts right to the heart of how we feel about our jobs.
Now, you might be thinking this is just a 21st century thing. A side effect of our always-on, hyper-connected world. But what if I told you it's not new at all? In fact, this diagnosis of our modern work life is actually over 150 years old. Somebody put a name to this feeling long before the internet, before office parks, way before the word burnout was even a thing.
And that someone was the philosopher Karl Marx. The word he used? Alienation.
So for Marx, alienation isn't just, I don't like my job. It's way deeper than that. It's a very specific kind of separation, a fundamental disconnect from the core parts of our lives, and even from ourselves, all because of the way we work.
And what's really fascinating here is that Marx had a super high opinion of work. He believed that our labor, our work, should be one of the most fulfilling things we do. It's how we're supposed to build our world, how we express who we are. But, he argued, under certain economic systems, that whole purpose gets completely twisted.
And to really explain what he meant, Marx broke alienation down into 4 distinct types of separation. So let's walk through each one, because I have a feeling they're going to sound pretty familiar.
All right, the first one is alienation from the product of your labor. This is all about the what. What is it that you're making? It's that separation from the actual things or the services you help create. Think about it. You pour your time and your energy into making something valuable. But the final thing, it isn't yours. It belongs to your employer. And you see examples of this everywhere. The factory worker building a luxury car they could never afford, the warehouse employee who handles thousands of packages a day but owns none of them, or even the content moderator who quietly shapes our entire digital world but remains completely invisible. The value you make is out there, separate from you, and controlled by someone else.
Okay, number 2 is alienation from the process of labor. So if the first one is about what you make, this one is all about how you make it. It's that loss of control over your own activity, when your work doesn't feel like your own self-expression, but more like something that's forced on you. I mean, you might be busy all day long, but you're not exactly free, right? Your work is dictated by all these external things: tight schedules, performance metrics, mysterious algorithms, and just constant, endless deadlines. And that's what turns work from a potentially creative act into just a source of pressure, whether you're in a call center, a delivery van, or even sitting at your desk at home.
So, the third form of alienation is where things get really social.
Marx argued that the way our economy is set up doesn't just separate us from our work, it actually separates us from each other.
The key idea here is competition. So often, we're kind of pushed to see our colleagues not as collaborators on a shared mission, but as rivals. Rivals for the next promotion, for the best projects, or sometimes just for basic job security. This creates a social condition of isolation. So this isn't just about feeling a bit lonely at work, it's about the entire system creating distance between us. And this brings us to the fourth and maybe the most profound form of alienation. And that's alienation from our own human potential. Now, this one gets a little philosophical. Marx called it a separation from our species being, which is really just his way of describing that unique, creative, and social nature that all human beings share. See, Marx believed we're meant to be these creative, imaginative, social creatures. But when our work gets reduced to just a way to survive, just a means to pay the bills, we lose touch with that deeper part of ourselves. Life can start to feel like this endless, draining cycle, right? You work, you pay bills, you recover just enough to go back and do it all over again, with no room left for who we really are.
So, if you're feeling any of this, here is maybe the most important takeaway from Marx's entire theory. It is not a personal failing. It is a feature of the system. I love this quote from our source material. It just nails it. It shows how these ideas from over a century ago are honestly more relevant than ever. I mean, from gig workers managed by an app to office workers tracked by productivity software, the tools have changed for sure, but that underlying feeling of separation, it's still here.
And here's the basic logic that, according to Marx, produces that feeling. It's a structural process. First, the worker sells their ability to work. Second, the employer gets to control how that work is done. Third, whatever is produced belongs to the company, to capital. And fourth, profit is generated from that labor. Alienation is simply the human experience of being a part of that structure.
So, why does understanding all this even matter? Well, because it gives us a new language. It actually lets us reframe the whole problem.
Instead of only asking questions about ourselves, like, how can I cope better, we can start asking bigger, systemic questions. We can move from, how do I manage my stress, to, wait a minute, why is this work designed to be so exhausting in the first place? It shifts the focus away from our personal resilience and onto the architecture of work itself.
And that, right there, is the heart of it all. Alienation isn't just having a bad day at the office. It's that profound feeling that our own activity, our own life force, has been turned into something outside of us, something that now directs and controls us, instead of letting us express who we are. And that is a really powerful idea to think about.